near 2 decades after we stepped into Cyrodiil for the first time, and more rumors of a remake or remaster of some kind than you could shake a stick at, and being told, this time, it's real, folks, I swear. On the 21st of April, 2025, Bethesda did the unthinkable. They released a game other than Skyrim. Having messed around with the original a few years back, I never really had the chance to finish the game, getting about halfway through the Thieves Guild questline and just about to start the assault on Kvatch, purely due to me being sidetracked with other projects, and given the fact that a bandwagon has appeared, I can think of no better time to jump on and try and catch some of those residual views with my thoughts on this remaster, especially considering I've been playing the ever-living shit out of it over the past few weeks. So looking at a remaster, one of the most important things to do over it, and more often than not the hardest thing to do, is capture the feeling of the original game. You can implement updated graphics, better voice acting, hell, you can even keep some voice acting mistakes in, but all of that doesn't matter if you don't get the same feeling you had the first time you played that game oh so many years ago. And given my experience with both, limited as it may be for the original, I would have to say this game is doing a damn fine job on that front, which generally is unsurprising, considering it quite literally is the same original game as soon as you pop open the hood and look at what engine is underneath it. It is the same shitbox engine that is the Gamebryo game engine. It just so happens that it's got a few brand spanking new body panels slapped onto it, making for a car that looks magnificent and runs wonderfully, even if that engine inside might be ready to shit a gasket the second you look at it funny. Bethesda has, for better or worse, become well known for their bugs within games. Most of them, more often than not, are far from game breaking, and with that, they're very amusing once you know how to manipulate the situations to fit your needs. You have conversations randomly popping up where they shouldn't be, things clattering across the screen. A common one is the Tamriel space program, and oh boy, have we gotten some fun out of that one. But between all of these, we have received hours upon hours of compilations on YouTube to watch and laugh at Bethesda, because after all, a Bethesda game without any bugs, is that really a Bethesda game at all? And playing the game, the same bugs are still running about, from things as simple as collision being a bit strange for some plates, to suddenly growing in height for a reason which I think is caused by recovering from the paralysis spell of the concerningly attractive Spider Daedra, resulting in interesting camera angles during conversations and free roaming. And for one of the more disappointing bugs I've had to deal with, I found that a questline was failing to acknowledge anything I had done with it, and unfortunately, I only really discovered this a few hours past the time I had finished the part which would have led to the end, and deciding that it was generally better for me to just write off that quest line and go about figuring out something new to have fun with. I've decided to let that quest line lie. So, I see you there, forever haunting my journal. I will remember you, though not by choice. Though, might I add, one of the benefits of using the same old code with a fresh coat of paint is the fact that most, if not all, information on the wikis and, more importantly, the Reddit threads about the bugs are still very accurate. It is the right bug you're talking about, and not a completely different one that just happened to affect the exact same area. A major one that comes to mind is, well, sacking Kvatch and attempting to free it from the residual forces left behind with the gate. It refuses to acknowledge that you have cleared the courtyard. And as a side note, try to clear the courtyard earlier. I did it a bit later in the game, and it was an absolute nightmare. Granted, I might have not upgraded my weapons and such as soon as I should have, still running around with some of the older weapons I had. But even still, it was a nightmare to deal with, given the difficulty of enemies that's running about. And within this quest, it doesn't acknowledge that it's cleared. So, after a little bit of online snooping, I find you just have to run in, grab the count ring, and normally it will figure out how to work itself out. But, again, your mileage may vary. And after all, those gaskets, like I said, they're damn liable to shit themselves as soon as you look at them. Having only recently gotten into PC gaming, Skyrim was obviously one of the first games I truly focused on. Admittedly, I have moved away from the game. Some of CD Projekt Red's classics, and other things like BioWare, Obsidian, classic games that require a bit more than the joys that Skyrim gives you, simple as they are. Skyrim ended up being one of the games I really focused on. After all, there's a new version coming out every other year or so. You'd be hard-pressed to not find someone who's played it. At least, even just heard of the game and touched it a little. And as such, one of my favorite quest lines was the Thieves Guild, and given the fact that you can join them in Cyrodiil, I quickly focused on them even before leaving to deal with Kvatch. And compared to Skyrim, how they're almost forced down your throat, it was refreshing to try and figure out how you needed to get into contact with them without using a wiki and my knowledge from the past runs being spotty at best. To do so, you have to jump through a few hoops. You have to learn about their relationship with the beggars of the city through overhearing conversations. You could ask around with the guards, learn what they think about the Grey Fox. There's wanted posters everywhere. You have to learn how to use the dialogue wheel and persuade the beggars, who you eventually track down, that you're trustworthy enough to be let in on this little secret. And eventually, you have to go through an initiation that you can, in fact, fail should you mess up the heist. After all, that elf woman, she runs very quickly, and I am not shocked that she is able to beat most people on their first run before they reload. And even if you do fail, there's a backup job just in case, you do fail. Which makes sense considering offering a second chance for something you can fail is the optimal way to go about a game design thing, in my opinion. And all of this is far cry from planting a ring on someone for the main story, and after that, going on massive slaughters for hordes and hordes of guards and watchmen, and even your target sometimes, and then eventually picking some documents out of a pool of blood that you deal with in the northern province. All of this comes together to form a very cohesive story that is utterly fantastic when you have to go through all of it with the little pieces slowly building on each other. And guess what? You aren't just automatically fed the next part in the story. you have to get out there and prove that you are actually a thief. I've found that the Mages College is a perfect place to go and obtain some items. That and the Forge up in Burma. Easy place to get as much money and repair hammers as you need. And at this point, having clocked around 40 or so hours in the game as of writing this script, and also having just cleared my first Oblivion Gate after becoming Grand Champion of the Arena and Grey Fox, and owner of Heresine's Daedric Artifact and Nocturnals, I can easily say this game is a damn good one. And as much as I despise the idea of remakes being potentially Game of the Year, I could see this game maybe not winning it, considering we've had the amazing thing that is Expedition 33, but I can see it being thrown into the ring of conversation. And after seeing so many posts about this game looks the way we imagined it back when we were young, it is truly wonderful to see classic mechanics that seem to have died a little making a comeback. We have things like Baldur's Gate 3 leaning heavily onto their TTRPG inspirations. So maybe there's a bit more of a market for these mechanics-heavy RPGs than we potentially thought, even if they are a little simplified for her Bethesda's standards. Which does bring me to a very quick question. Is this something we can expect in The Elder Scrolls 6 Skyrim 2? Well, I thoroughly doubt it, considering how long they should be in production, hopefully. Though, maybe for the future games, we'll see a bit more of that added in, potentially for Fallout 5, or maybe even a new property, assuming they decide to give it another shot. So looking back at this game as a whole, it takes a very solid set of bones, with admittedly a bit of an ugly coat of paint, and does exactly what people wanted for it. Adding some new animations, though admittedly the running animation is a little suspect. We get a fresh set of textures, new coat of paint for the visuals, and, for a good bit of a gaffe, they're selling more horse armor as a DLC. I am fully aware there's other stuff included with the DLC, but it wouldn't be nearly as humorous on my end to mention that. So, you heard it here first, folks. Bethesda is selling horse armor as DLC again. $10. That is all that is included. And within that, there is absolutely nothing included beyond horse armor in the deluxe edition. That definitely does not include the art book, soundtrack, digital armors, weapons, nothing of that sort. Don't worry, guys. I would never lie to you. Other things, we have slight tweaks to the leveling system to make the game not actively working against you. And when you wrap all of this into a bundle at what's considered now, unfortunately, to be a fairly reasonable price, coming in at around 60 or so American dollars, you're off to the races with a game that people will undoubtedly fall in love with again. So, like I said, while I am firmly against the idea of remakes and remasters getting Game of the Year, with some exceptions, but as a rule, I will stand by that, we have an even better contender appearing on the horizon for what I think will be an unbelievable remaster coming sometime around August. I think we're in it for good this year, with a bunch of games coming up that I am absolutely looking forward to, chief among them being Mafia: The Old Country. which I do hope to make a video on when it releases. And, well, we'll just see in August for how the old friend I was talking about ends up going. So, while this video has been fairly short and mostly unscripted, filled with my gushing over the game, I do want to hear your thoughts on it. Is it just like you remembered from your childhood? Is it better, worse, or something completely different altogether? Please do let me know down below. For slight channel updates, expect my Witcher 3 video to come out sometime in mid to late May. I don't think I'm going to be making the 10-year anniversary on the 16th, but I will try. This is a video I have been looking forward to making for nigh on a year at this point, considering it was the source of my What Makes a Good Tutorial series. And I believe it was just yesterday I finished recording the Metro 2033 Let's Play, so do check that out if you're interested. If you've stuck around from the Titanfall video, which I know some of you have, thank you for giving me a shot through the in-between periods where I do the reaction and Let's Play stuff. I do absolutely love making these legitimate videos that I have to actually put effort into. Those are mostly just an excuse for me to play games I want to, but can't without convincing myself I'm wasting time. So, enough of my rambling. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Stuff down below, do with it as you see fit. I am Sven, the hero of Kvatch, and this is Elven Prince, signing out.